Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Man of Thought. Today, we are going to be revisiting, or we're going to go through a particular subject that would most likely be interesting to certain people who are interested in having relationship. I made a decision this evening that I wouldn't focus on talking about the protest, but I want to talk about after the protest and what actually matters to human being. Currently, everyone is focusing their attention on hunger, which is part of the basic needs of people for them to be able to survive. But after hunger has been resolved in most people's life, the next thing people focus on is relationship. And so today I will be talking about relationship. And I believe that to my audience who have made a decision to be part of this conversation that I want to have, a lot of you would be able to get something useful out of the message. Trust me, when the man of thought comes and he speak, a lot of people benefit from the discussion that the man of thought has to share with people. Today we're going to be talking about, do people change in relationship? It is a question. Do people change in relationship? And part of the things that we are going to cover, and part of the things that we are going to cover, number one question will be, how do people typically change when they enter into a relationship? Number two would be, what are common reasons people change during relationship? Number three will be, can changes in relationship be positive? And if so, how? Number four will be, how can couples manage changes in relationship to maintain harmony? Number five, signs a partner is changing in a relationship. Number six, are changes in a relationship inevitable? Number seven, how can communication help navigate changes in relationship? And lastly, number eight for today, we will be talking about what impact does personal growth have on a relationship. These are the things that we are actually going to be covering today. So I want you to sit tight and hear from the man of thought. And I want you to also think about what I have to say. And before I proceed, I will want you to also bear this in mind, that whatever I say is based off how I view the world and how I have wrestled with my thoughts to be able to come up to that particular conclusion. Now, do not get things wrong. I can speak from a perspective that is successful for me, but that doesn't mean it can 100% be applicable to you, because you most likely might be in a different situation that might not see eye to eye to mine. So all you can do is you can take that information and put it to yours and look at how you can refine it so it works very well for you. So let's start with today's topic. Do people change in relationship? That's the question. So we ask the first question, which is, how do people typically change when they enter into relationship? So I'll be answering this all at once. The first one is, do people change in relationship? I think for sure people do change in relationship. And secondly, the answer will be, maybe people don't change in relationship. Now, why do I say that? Yes and no, people change in relationship. And secondly, no, people don't change in relationship. I will tell you why they don't change in relationship, why most people don't change. And it comes from the aspect that whenever you make a decision to date people or to be in a relationship with people, there are certain people who are open minded and there are certain people who are closed minded. These are the two individuals you're going to meet whenever you make a decision to have a relationship with them: the open minded people and the closed minded people. Now, the closed minded people are most of those who already have a belief system, who already believe that the world is this particular way and you cannot talk them out of the way they perceive life. When you are dating someone and that person has a closed mind, there is nothing you can do to change the mind of that person, because that person has a belief system The belief is what they have accepted. Some of us, maybe will like it or not, or majority of us have, if we are not closed-minded, but at least we have the clue of closed-minded, and it is kind of embedded in us in one way or the other. What do I mean? If you have a culture and you have a tradition, you are a little bit closed-minded and you have a belief system. So a traditional person, you might hear a word that they will say this person is conservative, or you would say this person is liberal. A liberal is someone who is open-minded to a lot of things, and a conservative is someone who tries to retain a particular way of seeing life. So when you are dating someone, you can either date someone who is open-minded or closed-minded. Now, someone who is actually closed-minded have a strong belief, and they repeat a particular pattern over and over again. And that's the reason why there are certain people you can see in your life that these people do not change after 10 years, after 15 years, after 20 years. They keep repeating the same pattern. They have their challenges. They want to go out of that challenges, but they have a particular method and a way that they think that you cannot take them out of that way of thinking. And because you can't take them out of that way of thinking, they keep repeating the same circle over and over again. So when you find yourself in a relationship with those people and you don't have the same belief system that they have, then that means that you are going to be stuck with someone who is closed-minded, and that person does not change in relationships. Now back to the second person, the open-minded person in a relationship. The open-minded people in a relationship are people who wants to see the possibilities of where the relationship is going to go. It is people who are willing to try new things. It is those who actually want to try good things, want to see how they can make the relationship kind of flourish. Now, one of the things that can make either the closed-minded person in a relationship or an open-minded in a relationship to function together, first thing they need to have in common is dedication to that relationship. When I made a video yesterday, I made it clear that for you to be able to have a long-lasting relationship, you must be committed and both of you must be dedicated to it. There is no method about it. There is no one who has been in marriage for a very long time that is lucky. There is no lucky you found somebody. There's no luck in it. It is simply because the man and the woman are dedicated to make that relationship work. That is the only way that relationship can flourish. In fact, if you have a good relationship with a friend, the relationship can only work because both of you are dedicated to each other, not because you have the same hobbies, not because you read the same book, not because you have the same struggle. Those things does not matter in relationship. You must be dedicated to or committed in a relationship to make that relationship last long. I'm not talking about you just having a casual relationship with someone. You meet someone on the way, you talk to someone, and the both of you exchange number, and then the both of you meet yourself in clubs and parties and churches, and then in the next 2 years, there is no relationship between the both of you because somebody might probably have outgrown certain things and the other person is still remaining in that particular spot. That's not the kind of relationship I'm talking about. I'm talking about a long-lasting relationship that lasts for years in your life. A lot of people are lacking these things in their life at the moment. They do not have strong relationship with people that they bond with. Certain people will tell you that I have been with this particular individual for many years. I know how this person does things. We have struggled together, but we don't see eye to eye on many things, which is natural. It is natural not to see eye to eye with someone, even if you have known that person for a very long time. But the question remains the same. are both of you actually committed and dedicated to be together? And when I say be together, doesn't necessarily mean that both of you are living in the same house. What it means is that you both want to stay together regardless of the distance, regardless of the fact that you might be close, regardless of the fact that you are both married, you both are dedicated to see it move forward. So when I ask the question, do people change in relationship? The answer is two, yes and no, which I've explained that if a person that you're in relationship with is a closed-minded person, then that means you are going to be dating or you'll be in a relationship with someone who already have a way or a belief system. And no matter how far you grow, that person will be stuck in that pattern of life. In a nutshell, that person will most likely be a burden to your life at some point. And what is the reason? Why do I say that anyone who have a belief system or a closed mind might not be able to move forward if you're growing in relationship? Is simply because human nature is based that we evolve with time. Paul the apostle or Peter says, when I was a child, I acted like a child. And when you grow, as long as you grow in age, there are certain things that should change with you. Your biology changes. Your finances are expected to change. The way you view the world are expected to change. If you do not have children and you begin to have children, your perception about life begins to change. If you're growing old, your perception begins to change. So the people who have strong belief system, who are close-minded, and you are dating those kind of people, then that simply means, I'm not saying that you shouldn't date them. Trust me, some of them are kind of good. Because if someone have a particular belief system that is working fine for them, it is easy for you to have that person in your life and both of you will flourish for a very long time. Yes, the pattern of the person's life might not be changing that often, but that person is still unique in a particular way. But if you date someone who has a belief system and that person refuses to change anytime, then that means you, if you're having the sentiment or the mentality that you're supposed to grow when you date someone in a relationship, then there's a caveat that you most likely are carrying a burden while you're moving into that relationship. So that has answered that first question. So it is, how do people typically change when they enter into relationship? I do not think the moment people get into a relationship, people change. No. Most likely, it is that people hide certain things about themselves, and when they get into relationship, those things begin to unfold itself. In Yoruba culture, there's a proverb that will say that efiniwa, that means your characters are like smoke. So no matter how you try to protect it, no matter how you try to guide it, it always reveals itself. When a lot of people are dating or when they are courting with someone, they are aware of their bad characters. They are aware of the things that they do that discourage a lot of people from trying to relate with them. But basically, because they've met with someone who they love, or who they probably like, or who entices them, or who they fell in love with, perhaps they do. Once they meet those set of people, they try their possible best not to show the negative side of them. So the moment they get into a relationship with the person, as long as there's familiarity, I have known you, I've been able to get certain things that some of them may consider to be what's there after I have done the major things that I'm supposed to do. We've tested ourselves out. Now I'm supposed to be real with you. And I tell people this, You cannot ask somebody to be open with you while you're dating that person. If you want to go into a relationship with someone, you cannot tell another person to be open to you. Because if the person actually have a challenge, or if the person has certain weakness about them that they know that probably at the past, in the past of their life, this has been the quality that has disrupted, why I call it quality, these are their bad behaviors that have made them lose certain quality relationship. No matter how you try to tell them to be open, they would never be open to you, because they have already paid the price for being open about that their character. The problem is that most of them knows their bad character but are not willing to change it. So when you are dating someone, your duty is to be able to watch how the person relates, how the person think. You test them with different method, different things in life, and see how they communicate with a lot of things. Hopefully you don't test an expert, a close-minded expert. But so what I mean is that when you get into relationship with these people, then they begin to unfold themselves. I do not think that people just get into a relationship and they start changing. No, they don't change when they get into a relationship. They are only showing you the side of them that you most likely are not aware of. And that's the point. So that moves us to the next question, which is the third one, which it says, can changes in relationship be positive? And if so, how? I repeat the question, can changes in relationship be possible? And if so, how? I'm going to say it in the best term at which I know. And I'm going to be using myself as an analogy. Now, I came from a home whereby things are kind of difficult. And so I had to separate myself from my family at some point in life. And due to the experience that I have with my family, I try to be very honest with people. When you ask me about my family, I just tell you exactly how I see it. Now, during that time, I was really upset that they could not support me in certain things in my life. In fact, it's like they are not even supporting me at all. So I met with a lady who is currently my wife. And when I met her, she had a different approach. She was going through a little bit of hardship with our own family because she just lost her mom then. And her family were not actually helping her that much. But what I observed was that every time I talk about my family, I speak about how I perceive it, how I see it, but there is a little bit of anger inside of it, and I talk about them in a way that is most likely not palatable. But when my wife talked about her family, she was most likely talking about good things in her family, regardless of the flaws that are very visible in my eyes. She still decides to say the positive things about her family. I never called her to ask her. I was observing the conversation. We were dating for over 2 years, but every time we come up, I say, that's my brother that called me or something like that. I really don't want to talk about him. I just want him to be alone. When I talk to him, he doesn't listen and the rest of it. But when my wife want to talk about our family, she would say, I understand that my family are doing this, my family are doing that and this and this, but I most likely would like to support them in this particular way. I hope they can understand. That was seductive. And then I begin to imbibe it and I was like, wow, how come I might so saying negative things about my own family and this woman continuously say positive things about our own family? That means regardless of what my family has done, I do not suppose to diminish them simply because of the times of misunderstanding, time of the time that times in my life that they could not provide the things that I need, they are still the root at which I come from. I begin to see it. I wasn't telling my wife this, but I was seeing it through the way she consistently say good things about her family, and that changed my mind. And then I took it not just about my family. I say every of my friends, perhaps I do have few, uh, every of my friend or anyone who I relate with, I most likely would make a decision to start seeing things from a positive angle rather than seeing them from a negative angle. Nobody taught me that in life. My wife taught me that. Not by telling me that I was saying negative things, but by showing me how to keep saying positive things about your people, regardless of anything. Damn. And I learned that skill. Now, that doesn't mean, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean she wouldn't condemn the bad habits or the bad things that they do. But she wouldn't condemn the person. She will condemn the habits of the person. There are two different things. Condemning the act of someone and condemning a person is two different things. So I learned that particular thing from my wife, to condemn a act of someone and not to condemn the person. So if Nigerians are doing certain protests or people are doing certain things, I'm just like, these actions are not good, but I love you as a person. Now, it is very important that if you truly love someone, it is sometimes very important that you say it out of your mouth. I never thought about it like telling people that they are good. I felt like it's just a waste of time. But after a period of time, when I realized that words actually mean something to people, because you can know that somebody loves you, you can be aware that somebody loves you, but it might be difficult for you to be able to experience or feel the love. It is when you share the love and the person can feel the love, that is when love actually is flourishing. So my wife taught me that. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is that it is the question when I say, can changes in a relationship be positive? And if so, how? I just explained exactly how I changed due to my wife. Till this, I don't tell her. We've been married for over 6 years now, but I don't still tell her the reason why I talk about my family right now in this manner, or I talk about people in this manner right now, was basically because of you. But I want you to understand this. Maybe it was because I was open-minded, or maybe because I saw goodness in her heart and I decided I want to emulate this. And that's one key. So changes can actually happen positively in a relationship. If you decide to stand and do what is good and you did not condemn. Now let's put it this way in another perspective. If during those time when she was saying positive things about our own family, and I was saying certain things that are kind of negative about my own family, and she started telling me that you need to change, stop saying this particular thing about your family, it doesn't make sense, you are not showing good things about you, that's not how to live your life. With the kind of personality I have, it will be totally impossible for me to even see that she had something positive, because what I would start saying is that you are actually pretending, you're actually trying to show me or try to make me think that your family is better than mine. That's most likely how I would see it. And that's most likely how a lot of people would see it in a relationship. Because if you decide to be good, when I say certain things about my own family that tends not to be too palatable, what my wife would say is, I understand you, but you need to look into this. Maybe they did this because of this. Maybe they did this because of this. She wasn't cautioning me, but she was showing me, and she was showing it out of respect. The problem why a lot of people go into relationship and you find the other person being adamant or being stuck most times is basically because you who think that that person should change, you are not showing positive, or most likely you are not being respectful to that person's way of life or that person's viewpoint. And then when you condemn it, that person doesn't want to accept yours too. So if you claim that you are really good, or if truly you are actually good, you should be able to show that kindness that you say about your family. You have to show that kindness to me, and I have to feel it. And when I feel it, it changes something inside of me. And then I begin to choose your own path because your own path was better. I realize that because she says a lot of positive things about her family, she's always at peace with her family. But because I say certain things that sometimes are negative about my own family, I realize that I am always being hurt within my heart. And I ask myself, how long do I want to carry this burden because people did certain things in my life in the past? Am I ever going to be free? Have I put myself in this bondage deliberately? But I could see it directly that it was my actions that kept me in that particular position. And she had a freedom. And so you don't need mathematics. You understand it. It just plays out in real life. NEPA don't take our light. So thank God I'm using a little bit of light here. So that doesn't stop our conversation. Now, the next question will be, how can couples manage changes in a relationship to maintain harmony? I think that when you make a decision to date someone, you need to be aware that if you don't do your due diligence before you decide to start living with that person, you most likely might not have the opportunity to change that person. Now, when you want to date someone or you want to be in a relationship with someone, what are your expectations? Now, trust me, there's a saying that expectation is the cause of disappointment. That means if you're not expecting anything from someone, you're not going to be disappointed by that person. But that's a fallacy, saying that going into a relationship, you must not expect anything from the person. You expect. If you don't expect anything from someone, that person cannot offend you. It is because you expect that the person is supposed to act right and the person acts in the wrong way, so you get offended. You have an expectation. You think that the person is supposed to flush the toilet 3 times and the person flushed the toilet only once, and the person come out, and then you have conflict with it. That is an expectation. You go into a relationship, you brush your teeth 3 times, and your spouse is brushing their teeth once in a day, and you're saying that please, you have to change. That's an expectation. Anyone who goes into a relationship is expecting something from the other person. So do not lie to yourself that you are not expecting anything, or the best way to go into a relationship is not to expect anything. You are expecting. It is the nature of you to expect something from that person. If you haven't subscribed, do subscribe to my channel while you are enjoying this episode. So when you are actually expecting, the question is this: what do you expect from your spouse? You need to be able to define it. First of all, when you get into a relationship with someone who you perceive the person has a good character, who you perceive the person is very beautiful, you need to know many things about that person. And it is not by you saying, tell me about yourself. A lot of people will just say, tell me about yourself. If you ask me to tell you about myself, and I know I have bad things in my mind, I'm just going to tell you every good things that I want you to hear. There is a lot of people who go into relationship do not have the method to understand how relationship actually function, and now they take relationship, when they want to go into relationship, they do it like it's a job interview. Tell me about yourself. What do you think? Where are you from? I came from heaven. I'm an alien. I came from Jupiter. What about that? You ask me, what do I like? I like what you like. So it is easy for people to lie when they want something from you. I know you probably have a big, I know that you're very pretty. So I would downplay everything and hide the negative things about me so you can get lost or you can fall in love with me so I can get what I want. So for you to go into a strong relationship or a lasting relationship with someone, it's not about you interviewing the person. You need to watch the person, observe the person, discuss with the person, communicate with the person. This is different from asking questions. You can start with yourself. This is what I see about life. This is how I see things. How that food that you're eating, how do you think this thing actually go? Can you even enlighten me on something? Can you teach me something? And out of teaching, you would see when the person actually want to educate you on something, you most likely will see if the person has ego, if their ego actually rules them. If you begin to question, maybe the person is saying something and you ask a question, if the person feel offensive by just a minor question, then you know the person has an anger issue. So you can test run all those things, not necessarily have to start questioning A for apple and B for ball, because you most likely wouldn't get the answer. That's just the truth. So observing someone when you are dating the person, looking at someone when you are dating the person, watch the discussion, have communication with the person, and you most likely will be able to have an idea of that person's belief. What do you think about the religion? What do you think about Christianity? What do you think about Musliminity? What do you think about this nation? These are the questions you ask. Because first of all, it goes about every other person before yourself. Now, if anyone, I'm just going to give you this scope. If you are dating anyone or you want to go into a relationship with someone, and every time the person talks, they talk about themselves. You ask them about a country, they talk about themselves. You ask them about life, they talk about themselves. That is to tell you that that individual is going to be selfish. Hopefully, they are not going to sell meat. They are extremely selfish because they cannot see the world beyond them. It is them and them alone. So when you're going into a relationship with someone, you ask the person about the world, about how the person perceives either their religion, their culture, their traditions, the work they do, their professions, the people they work with. These are the questions you ask them, and ask them how they relate with those people. Because I can tell you for a fact, if someone have a bad attitude with the other staff that they work with, if someone have a bad attitude with their family, if someone have a bad attitude with their bosses or their workforce or with their tradition or with their culture or with their religion, that don't think you are a messiah and that person is going to be good to you. You don't ask people, what is your hobby? What's your hobby? That's a minor thing. Hobby will show itself. You don't ask people what's your hobby, because regardless, because it's an hobby, the person will definitely show you those things. But you ask, what are your relationship with other people? Move with them, work with them, see how they relate with others, see what they say about other people. Then you would know how their heart is. So you know if these people are qualified for you to go into relationship with, because anyone who truly has a very bad heart, who their life does not improve, or who their thought process does not improve, if you go into relationship, you are going to carry a serious burden. A strong, lasting relationship is a relationship where both people are dedicated and committed, not one person. The Bible says, can two walk unless they agree? Are you getting the picture? So let's move to the next one, which I've answered that. You can only have harmony in a relationship when you already understand the state of mind of the person you are actually dating. So that's just it. The next one is signs a partner is changing. What are the signs that a partner is changing in a relationship? I think that the way I'm going to tell you is this. The signs should be that, are you the one making a change in that person's life? Are you part of the things that is making a change in that person's life? Because if a person is changing, and when we use the word change, that might be the person's attitude, and you have not seen that part of that person's attitude, or most likely that person is lost with something and you don't know that person actually have lost for that particular thing. Let's say, for example, you make let's use American dollars. You make $500 in a month, both of you. And because you make $500 in a month, you are not so sure, because that person is broke, the person does not go to club. And because the person does not go to club, because you guys both make $500 every month, when the person begins to make $1,000 or $2,000 in a month, that person will start going to the club. That means that the person has it innately within them to go to the club. They were not going to the club because there was no money. So now that person is actually revealing themselves to you. So that is not a change. So when you are dating someone and the person starts acting in a way that they don't used to act, it's either they were pretending just to be able to get you, or it's because they never have the resources or the opportunity to show them their real self, and right now they are displaying it right in front of you. So that's not changes, because they are showing you exactly who they are. Changes can only happen in a way that are both of you working together to actually make a change. So the truth is this: are you influencing your partner, and is your partner influencing you? You both must be aware of it. I don't go to church. My wife goes to church. But I read Bible. I read Genesis to Revelation 7 good times. I read all kinds of book of Enoch, Ethiopian Bible. I read every passage of Bible. My wife go to church. She don't so much read a lot of things in the Bible, but she loves going to church. But what happened is that I used my own way to educate her more about our religion. She became more aware about our religion. Yes, my opinions are like, I don't want to dive into your religion, but basically I have to educate her, and she says, I want to serve Almighty Jesus and Almighty God. That's a choice. In fact, would I have preferred to be with a woman who does not regard God? If she wants to be committed to a religion, that is the best at which she can use in functioning in life. She has to do it. And I have to do mine, but I am influencing her by the knowledge of the scripture that the pastor will not tell her. So whenever the pastor is lying, she knows the pastor is just lying, but she loves the communion of the people. Both of us are settled. We both are influencing each other psychologically, because I told you earlier that she influenced me in a way, and I am influencing her with knowledge in certain areas. So the question is this: who are both of you influencing each other, and what kind of influence are you having upon each other? You both must be deliberate when you're into a relationship with someone. You both must be deliberate of the kind of change you would like to see in the relationship. If both of you does not have a vision of what you're supposed to change in the relationship or improve on, because let me not use the word change, to improve on in a relationship, then both of you will be stuck, and at some point you become very bored of who you are to each other, and one person might most likely want to walk away because both of you are actually not dedicated. And here is it: the moment both of you are dedicated and committed to a relationship, what you want is how that relationship would improve. That's the point of dedication and commitment. If you're committed to anything, it's simply because you are expecting that something is going to improve while you're doing it. So if both of you don't have vision of what the improvement of your relationship should move into, maybe you want to be the best dad and the best mom in life. Maybe you want to learn how to be harmonious with your children. Maybe you want to take your children and other families and you want to bring your families close and become a great union that harmonize 2 generations or 3 generations or 5 generations. If those are not in the vision of your relationship, one person might be closed-minded and you are open-minded, and that means that person, you have to drag that person along. And most likely you cannot drag a mountain, because a belief system simply means a mental acceptance. You don't necessarily need to see something to believe it. That's why I fear believers. Because if you kind of look at the scripture very well, the people who are nailing Jesus on the cross of Calvary are believers. And when a believer begins to nail you on the cross of Calvary, trust me, it's going to be painful, because he believes he's doing the work of God. They nail you differently. You can see the issues when you see certain terrorists in different environments. Most of them have belief in a religion. And because they have a belief in that religion, they believe doing this to people, doing this to people, and doing this to people simply means that they are doing the work of God. So when you have someone who is closed-minded in a relationship with you, it is difficult to change that person. You have to be sure that this person you are talking to while you are dating, that person is open to you or open to the possibilities of learning. Sometimes what you have to do is present the person an opportunity and say that, oh, you like speaking good English. What if I provide you Spanish? Would you like Spanish? Let me show you a school that you can learn Spanish. And the person is like, no. And then you say, can you learn my language? Let me teach you my language, Yoruba, Igbo language, Hausa language. And the person is like, no, I'm not interested. Do you think that we should go to church and stuff like this? And the person says, no. That person is telling you something. And you have to pay attention to what they are saying. Do you agree with me or you disagree? If you disagree, tell me the reasons why you disagree. You can write on the comment section why you disagree. I am also open-minded when I have conversation. The difference is, before I come online, I have to wrestle with my thoughts. I have to look at my own experience and what has worked for me. What am I aware of and conscious of before I put it out to the public on what has actually happened to me. And if it's important to you, you can emulate it or teach other people who are having difficulties with this situation. That leads us to the 6th one. We're about rounding up right now. Are changes in a relationship inevitable? Are changes in a relationship inevitable? I think everyone has to grow. I believe everyone has to grow in a relationship. If you don't change in a relationship, changes is going to happen to you. So in a nutshell, it is inevitable. Because situations of life, tragedies of life would happen to you that will force you to act or see life in a different way or act in a different way. The only reality is that, are you prepared for the good times? And when I talk about preparation, is that, have you built certain character inside of you for a difficult time? Have you built certain character of you for the time when things get well in life? At some point in my life, I don't have any money. I don't go to the party, but I've already instilled a character that no matter the money I make, I won't go to the club. It's simple. I can't waste my money on prostitute, or I can't waste my money on just drinking unnecessary alcohol, and I can't go to the money to pay club bouncers or something like that. I can't go to the club because I know it's not beneficial to my life, regardless of whatever I have. So I was prepared for it before I was being blessed. And the same way, before Arkview Investment lied upon me and take me to jail, I was prepared for prison before I went to prison. So prison wasn't changing anything. Prison wasn't breaking me because I was actually prepared. The thing that I am actually saying is that changes are inevitable. If you don't prepare for changes, changes would happen to you. And it most likely will bring out the worst inside of you if you are actually not prepared for it. Does that make any sense? Bam, I believe you have gotten that point. The next one is, how can communication help navigate changes in relationship? That's very simple. Communication. And when we're talking about communication, a lot of people think that one person or both parties need to be intellectual. And I said this yesterday. They are different parts of intelligence. Don't think that because one person loves to read a book every single time, the person can read Passing It On by Dr. Miles Monroe, Robert Kiyosaki. You can read any kind of book that you can read. That doesn't mean you are more intelligent than your spouse. There are levels to intelligence. Like I said, I know how to design a business. I know how to tell you that this particular location, if you invest in it, you're going to make money. But I don't know how to sustain the money when it begins to come. My wife knows how to do that. And in that, she's more intelligent than me on that field. You have to look for someone who complements the place that you actually lack. So sometimes, don't think that because you are a professor, then you have to date a female who is professor also. And this is the mistake a lot of women always have, that they think that because I am intellectual in certain things, the person I want to be in a relationship with must also have the same intellectual way of seeing things. They don't necessarily have to be that. If you're intelligent, you should be aware of your weaknesses. And the person who you should have a relationship with is the person who is the opposite, who can strengthen the place where you are weak. Because a lot of people that are being told that they are intelligent, they think they are perfect. Intelligence does not mean you are perfect. It is that you are so aware and informed about something. But because you are aware and informed about something, don't think that you are aware and informed about everything in life. There are people you need in your life. When you have a vision, you know that there are things that you actually want to get in a relationship, or the vision you have in that relationship, and you should be aware of your weaknesses. When you know your weaknesses, you know the kind of person who can strengthen that weakness. And that is the person you should focus on. So changes is inevitable. And communication is very important. You have to discuss with the person who you are dating with or who you are in relationship with. Talking to somebody in relationship, a lot of people think that you have to make the other person look like a fool if the person is not getting things right. Communication simply means you have to be able to relate with that person. And what do we mean by relate with that person? That means if I'm thinking in maybe 20 level or 100 and you are thinking in 10, I should be able to come to your level, maybe not to your level, but at least we should find a ground whereby you can also merge with my way of thinking. So in that, if I say my wife or my friend, I am thinking things this way and I know I'm far ahead or something like that. I'm just giving you an example, but I'm far ahead. I would have loved you to join me in this particular place. But even if you can't join me in this particular field at which I am operating on, I think you can get better by doing this. That is if the person have a more open mind, but you have to do that part before you start dating or before you have relationship with that person, and lift the person up a little bit. And then when the person improve, then you can improve the person a little bit. Not that you want to communicate with people and you just want to tell them you don't know what anything, I know it all. And the moment humans know that you are acting like you know it all, regardless of the fact that they know you are saying the truth, I don't care if you're saying the truth, they would neglect you and your truth. And the Bible in Proverbs says something. It says that there's a wise man in a community, but because blah, 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 the world does not listen to him because he doesn't have money and the rest of it. The world does not care how intelligent you are. The world does not give a damn about how knowledgeable you are. The world will move on without you. The question is this: are both of you invested in a relationship to make it move to a certain direction? And in that, you have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to discuss so you can go to that direction. And the one who assumes that they are intelligent has the work to do. So that has ended that. And lastly, for today, what impact does personal growth, what impact does personal growth have on a relationship? What impact does personal growth have on a relationship? Now, I want you to understand this. For you to be able to have a great relationship, you have to put it upon yourself to improve yourself, regardless of the fact that both of you are in it. Because if you cannot help yourself, how can you help your partner? The amount of knowledge you have and the amount of knowledge they have is only what determines if you both will be able to progress, if you both will be able to be successful in the relationship. So there must be self-improvement in every relationship. Not just expecting that, oh, we have to do everything together. Yes, they say two shall become one, but two is still two. So you both are individuals. Regardless of when you are in a relationship with someone, how committed and dedicated both of you are to a goal, you both would not still see eye to eye on everything. There are times in life that this person is seeing it from this direction and this person is seeing it from this other direction. You have to improve yourself, and when you improve yourself, that is only when you can improve your spouse. This goes vice versa, male or female. In our next episode, we are actually going to be treating more things on this particular aspect of relationship. If you haven't subscribed and you have listened to everything that I have said, you have committed a sin. No. I decided not to talk about protest because we don't know. We have to see what is going to happen. We pray Nigeria is at peace. But I've come to you that I understand that after hunger is being resolved, relationship is one of the things that actually matters to you, man. And you've learned one or two things. If you haven't learned, if I've just been blabbing, thank you for at least listening to my blabbing. But if you think you have gotten something out of it and you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe, like, and share. Hopefully, we are going to see tomorrow. Yeah, we're going to definitely be having a discussion tomorrow. But maybe by this time tomorrow. Have a great night. Sleep well. Pray before you sleep. If you believe in prayer, If you don't believe in prayer, do your yogi, do whatever you have to do. But I want you to live in peace and have a blissful and a great day ahead. Have a blessed day. See you in my next video. Adios, amigos. Bye bye for now.